just for a second, that you could put the ultimate modern action star through an X-ray machine.
Okay, yeah. Like the massive guys anchoring all the streaming hits right now.
Exactly. You know the exact type of guy I'm talking about. Someone with, like, literal superhero proportions.
Yeah.
A kind of towering physical presence that just absolutely dominates the box office.
Right, right.
And if you ran that guy through an X-ray, you'd expect the monitor to just show solid steel, right? I mean, you look at a life like that, and you just assume invincibility.
Oh, totally. You assume it's this perfectly curated, untouchable, bulletproof existence.
Right. But what if that X-ray showed something completely different? Like, what if it showed fractures?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I want you to picture that exact same multi-million-dollar leading man going on the record to publicly detail his severe bipolar manic episodes.
Yeah.
Picture him talking openly about undergoing psychedelic therapy just to, survive his own suicidal thoughts.
It creates this massive cognitive dissonance for the audience, really.
It does. And imagine this massive, intimidating action hero starting a YouTube ministry from his living room and completely eviscerating politicians on both sides of the aisle without a single second of hesitation about his box office appeal.
Which is wild. It just shatters the mold entirely. I mean, we've been culturally conditioned for decades to expect the stoic, impenetrable leading man, right? And a profile like this just shatters that image into a million pieces.
And that is the exact image we are going to put under the microscope today. So, welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack the contradictory, chaotic, and deeply human life of actor Alan Ritchson.
Yeah, and we have a really formidable stack of sources guiding us today, which is great.
We do. We're pulling from a comprehensive biographical overview, a super candid 2024 mental health profile in Wondermind magazine.
That one is fascinating, by the way.
Oh, it's incredible. Plus, a deeply revealing interview he did with Relevant magazine and the very latest 2026 entertainment reporting straight from Collider.
But we aren't just going to, list off his resume here.
No, not at all. We want to understand the actual mechanisms behind his survival. We're looking at how Ritchson is actively dismantling the Hollywood tough guy archetype through radical vulnerability.
And what his extremely nonlinear journey teaches you and me about redefining what actual strength looks like.
Exactly. So to really grasp the weight of his vulnerability, I feel like we first have to understand the sheer scale of the platform he's standing on right now.
Oh, absolutely. Because the higher the pedestal, the more dangerous the fall. And right now, in 2026, I mean, he is essentially at the absolute summit of the industry.
Let's look at the metrics from Collider. Ritchson is experiencing total dominance. His brand new sci-fi thriller, War Machine, just debuted on Netflix.
Where he plays the character named 81, right?
Yeah, just 81. He's a soldier fighting off an alien threat in the mountains alongside a group of Army Ranger recruits. And this isn't just a hit. It officially dethroned Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's crime thriller The Rip as Netflix's most-watched movie of the entire year.
Wow. Just dominating.
Right. Plus, he just confirmed Reacher Season 4 is slated for release later this year. Basically, studios call him when they need a guaranteed, bankable tough guy.
Which, naturally leads people to assume his ascent was this calculated, inevitable march to the top.
Right, like he was grown in a lab.
Exactly. When an actor reaches that level of physical and commercial dominance, the public assumes they were bred in some secret Hollywood laboratory cultivated for this exact moment.
But his actual origin story is nothing like that at all. He was a military brat, born in North Dakota, moved around to Guam, Illinois, and eventually landed in Florida.
A super transient childhood.
Very. He grew up Catholic, went to Niceville High School, and found himself at a community college, Okaloosa Walton Community College, studying music and theater on a full scholarship.
Wait, music and theater?
Yeah, singing in the Madrigal Singers.
That is a very, very long way from fighting aliens in the mountains.
It really is. And crucially, he didn't even finish that program. He dropped out after 2 years because he just didn't feel fulfilled. He briefly worked at a gas station before signing with a modeling agency in Miami, which honestly really kicked off the chaos.
Yeah, chaos is the right word for it.
The best way I can describe his early career is like a Hollywood game of pinball.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Because usually we think of an actor's career as a ladder. You climb rung by rung, you get a commercial, then a bit part, a supporting role, and finally the lead.
A linear progression.
Exactly. But Ritchson's career was a pinball machine.
Yeah.
You pull the plunger, and the ball just bounces violently from bumper to bumper without any obvious direction.
Ding! He's modeling underwear for the Abercrombie & Fitch catalog.
Ding! It's 2004, And he's a contestant on Season 3 of American Idol doing this viral, charming striptease for Judge Paula Abdul before getting cut.
Which is still so crazy to think about.
Mhm.
And then, ding, he pivots to acting and lands the role of Arthur Curry, the very first live-action Aquaman on the teen soap Smallville.
And then he bounces over to play Thad Castle, this outrageously over-the-top, stereotypical football bro on the Spike TV sitcom Blue Mountain State.
It's an incredibly erratic trajectory, and from the outside, that pinball game looks like a blast.
Totally. You just see a guy riding this chaotic, fun wave of good looks and charisma.
But we have to look at the psychology of that kind of environment. Bouncing around the lower and middle tiers of the entertainment industry without a firm foundation or a clear safety net, it creates immense psychological instability.
Yeah.
That undeniable physical success was masking a brutal, hidden internal reality.
And the sources confirm just how dark that reality actually was. Because when you read through his interviews with The Hollywood Reporter, you realize the action hero we see today was forged in some deeply traumatic fires.
Very much so.
To understand the guy headlining Netflix today, you have to understand the man who, at 36 years old, reached a breaking point that culminated in a suicide attempt.
It's a staggering reality check. And to understand how a seemingly successful, physically imposing man gets to that ledge at 36, we have to examine the systemic trauma he was subjected to.
Right.
In that Hollywood Reporter interview, Ritchson disclosed that he endured years of sexual abuse in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, that part was incredibly tough to read.
He specifically called out the modeling world. He described it as legalized sex trafficking orchestrated by photographers. He actually left the modeling industry precisely because he was sexually assaulted by a very famous photographer.
I really want to dig into the mechanics of that for a second, because calling it legalized sex trafficking is an incredibly heavy phrase to use.
It is.
How does an industry operate like that in plain sight?
Well, it really comes down to the deliberate exploitation of power dynamics. You have these young people, often geographically isolated, like Ritchson, who had moved away from his family and they're just desperate for a break.
Vulnerable.
Highly vulnerable. The industry conditions them to believe that their own boundaries are secondary to the art or the opportunity. Photographers and agents, they hold the keys to the kingdom.
So if you say no, you're out.
Exactly. When a powerful figure crosses a line, the young talent internalizes the abuse, believing that speaking up will instantly end their career. The developing brain under that kind of chronic, inescapable stress just begins to fracture.
That makes a lot of sense. Terribly.
The trauma isn't just the assault itself. It's the daily systemic gaslighting that forces the victim to smile and pretend it's just a normal part of the job.
Wow. And carrying that secret weight while trying to build a public persona sounds, entirely unsustainable.
It is.
And on top of that profound trauma, he was dealing with a severe, undiagnosed neurochemical imbalance. Because at age 36, Ritchson was officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Yeah, and the Wondermind piece provides a really vital look at how his specific brain chemistry operates, because bipolar disorder isn't just about having mood swings, right?
Right. It's way more complex than how it's used in pop culture.
Exactly. It involves profound shifts in energy and reality processing. Ritchson revealed that his condition leans much more heavily toward manic episodes rather than depressive ones. But we need to clearly differentiate what that actually means in a high-functioning individual.
Yeah, because he doesn't just offer vague platitudes about it. He gives a very jarring, specific example of his mania.
The shoe story.
Yes, the shoe story. He tells this story where a random thought just popped into his head. I got to find a perfectly white pair of shoes that look like a tennis shoe but aren't.
Just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And because of the severe impulsivity of the manic state, 3 days later, 8 identical pairs of these highly specific white shoes show up at his house.
8 pairs.
Yeah, 8. He looks at the boxes and realizes, oh crap, I'm manic right now.
That is a textbook example of how mania hijacks the brain's executive functioning. In the psychiatric field, there's a crucial distinction between hypomania and full mania.
Okay, break that down first.
So hypomania is kind of the highly productive, less destructive cousin. You need less sleep, you feel incredibly charismatic, you're hyper-focused.
Which sounds like a superpower in Hollywood.
It totally functions like one. But full mania, which is what leads to ordering 8 pairs of the same shoe, is when the brain's braking system completely fails. It brings grandiose thinking, severe impulsivity, and a dangerous inability to assess risk.
And that inability to assess risk bled directly into his massive Hollywood projects, too.
Oh, absolutely.
On the set of Reacher Season 1, His mania made him so obsessively reckless about doing his own dangerous stunts that the stunt coordinator actually temporarily quit.
Wow.
Ritchson remembered explicitly telling them, "I'm doing the fake stunt." He later realized that wasn't acting dedication at all, it was just pure manic behavior.
Yeah.
But here is the thing that really twists my brain when I look at how Hollywood operates. Aren't those manic traits exactly what the industry demands from a leading man?
That is the most insidious part of this whole dynamic.
Mm.
The film industry systematically rewards the exact psychiatric symptoms that are destroying the individual.
Right.
Boundless energy, intense hyperfocus, absolute obsession with the project's outcome, the willingness to push your physical body past its breaking point just to get the shot. Producers and directors love this.
They probably write glowing articles about his dedication.
They do. They hand out awards for it.
Yeah.
But the psychological loop is incredibly dangerous. The high-stakes, adrenaline-fueled environment of a film set acts as a catalyst, and it just feeds the manic state.
And then the crash comes.
Right. And meanwhile, the depressive episodes might go completely unnoticed by the crew because the actor is so hyper-focused while the cameras are rolling. They are burning out from the inside, and the industry is literally handing them a trophy for it.
It's a deadly synergy. And Ritchson has been incredibly open about the fact that this cycle led him to severe suicidal ideation, which is tragically common for people navigating bipolar disorder.
It is.
But he didn't just accept it. He sought out an unconventional lifeline, which was MDMA therapy.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
He stated it was instrumental in helping him treat his suicidal ideation. And we really need to explain how this actually works, because to a lot of people, taking psychedelics to treat a mental health crisis sounds totally counterintuitive.
It definitely sounds counterintuitive if you associate MDMA purely with its recreational use, like as a party drug.
Right.
But in a clinical setting, MDMA-assisted therapy is a highly targeted surgical tool for the mind. When someone experiences severe trauma, their amygdala, which is the brain's fear center, becomes completely hyperactive.
Okay.
Every time they try to process the traumatic memory, the body physically panics, which makes healing practically impossible. MDMA temporarily alters this brain chemistry.
How so?
It drastically downregulates the amygdala's fear response while keeping the prefrontal cortex, the logical processing center, fully online.
So it essentially creates a chemical safety net.
Precisely. In a controlled setting, usually with eye shades, specific music, and guided by trained psychiatrists, the patient can walk back into their darkest, most traumatic memories without their body going into a fight-or-flight panic.
That's incredible.
They can finally process and integrate the trauma. For Ritchson, combining this biological intervention with weekly psychiatrist appointments and family support was the circuit breaker he desperately needed to just survive.
And surviving a suicide attempt at 36 forces a profound biological and psychological reckoning. You don't just walk away from that ledge without your brain screaming for a rigid framework of meaning.
No, everything changes after that.
Right. Ritchson had to ask himself, why am I still here?
Yeah.
And the answer to that question triggered a massive spiritual and ideological shift, which leads us to the highly opinionated man we see today.
Now, it's really important to pause right here. We're about to delve into a guy who has completely thrown out the standard Hollywood PR playbook regarding religion and politics.
Yes, and we need to be very clear with you listening right now. Our goal today isn't to endorse his theology, debate his political stances, or take any kind of side.
Exactly. We are entirely neutral here.
We are simply analyzing the raw facts of what he actually said to these magazines, strictly to understand the mechanics of how this new, unfiltered worldview operates in his life.
And his worldview is intensely unfiltered. According to the Relevant magazine interview, his search for meaning brought him back to Christianity, but it was rooted in a very simple, non-negotiable core belief, which is serving others.
Right.
He explicitly stated that our purpose in life is, without qualification, to make the world a better place and serve others. But he didn't just quietly adopt this belief, he weaponized it against what he saw as hypocrisy.
Which led to the YouTube channel.
Yes. In January 2022, he started a YouTube channel called InstaChurch. He launched it specifically to combat the vitriolic rhetoric he was seeing among other Christians, feeling that modern Christian behavior had become antithetical to what Jesus actually taught.
And he applies this rigorous, unforgiving critique to the very institutions that raised him, too. Because remember, Ritchson was a devout Catholic kid.
Yeah, altar boy, youth group president, daily mass, the whole 9 yards.
But today, he firmly, publicly refuses to support the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
He stated that he cannot support the institution while there are still cardinals, bishops and priests being passed around with known pedophilic tendencies.
He explicitly cited the systemic cover-up of these atrocities as fundamentally repulsive to his core values.
And his political rebukes carry that exact same fiery, uncompromising energy. Quoting his interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he heavily criticized the broader Christian church for aligning so closely with Donald Trump.
Yeah, he didn't hold back at all.
No. Ritchson flatly called Trump a rapist and a con man, expressing total bewilderment that the church treats a figure like that as a poster child.
And he doesn't spare the people in his own backyard either. In a 2025 interview with GQ, which was referenced in his biographical profile, he spoke about politician Matt Gaetz.
Who was actually a former high school classmate of his in Florida, right?
Exactly. And Ritchson did not mince words. He called Gaetz a motherfucker, an adversary, and explicitly stated he is not a good dude.
Meanwhile, in the exact same interview, he praised Senator Bernie Sanders, calling him a hero.
Yeah.
I really have to push back on the standard industry logic here, though, because from a Hollywood business perspective, landing a massive, universally appealing franchise like Reacher usually means the publicists descend immediately.
Oh, they lock you in a media training room.
Yes, they drill it into your head to stay utterly neutral. The age-old Hollywood logic is Republicans buy movie tickets too.
Right. The Michael Jordan quote.
Exactly. You never talk politics or controversial theology because you risk alienating half the box office. So the burning question is Ritchson's unfiltered honesty a massive ticking career liability, or is it actually the secret sauce to his current appeal?
20 years ago, that kind of outspokenness from an action star would have been absolute career suicide.
Would have dropped him.
The studio executives would have benched him immediately. But the landscape has fundamentally changed. We live in an era of perfectly manicured, AI-generated PR statements.
Oh, yes, we do.
And audiences have developed an incredibly sophisticated, highly cynical radar. They can spot a sanitized, committee-written statement from a mile away. The impenetrable, stoic movie star of the 1990s just feels completely artificial today.
Because we know the X-ray is going to show cracks anyway, so hiding them just feels like lying.
Exactly. So when a guy who looks like a Greek god sits in his living room on YouTube and speaks with raw, unvarnished authenticity, it cuts right through the noise.
It's refreshing.
It is. Even when it actively angers a portion of his audience, it creates a much deeper, more fiercely loyal connection with the public at large. People might vehemently disagree with his politics or his theology, but they believe him.
Right. They know they're dealing with a real human being.
Exactly. In 2026, raw authenticity isn't a liability. It is the most valuable currency in Hollywood. By risking his career to speak his mind, he has arguably made his career bulletproof.
Which brings this entire deep dive right back to you listening to us right now. Because Alan Ritchson isn't just a fascinating Hollywood case study. His life operates